more fears of economic stagnation under the Biden-Harris administration, the stock market tumbled more than 600 points as manufacturing PMI data fueled slowdown fears, according to the Wall Street Journal. Investors are back to viewing weak economic data as bad news for stocks. On Tuesday, stocks sank and long-dated treasuries rose as fresh data suggested an ongoing gloom in the manufacturing sector. The Institute for Supply Management's Purchasing Managers Index of Manufacturing Activity rose to 47.2 in August from 46.8 in July. That was a smaller rise than expected and indicated a contraction in activity, albeit at a gentler pace. Now again, overall, the stock market has done well. That's what happens in an inflationary cycle very often because people have no place to put the money other than in stocks. However, real growth in wealth is because of innovation. Innovation can only happen with a predictable regime of property rights and free markets, not when somebody could come along at any moment and put their hand into your pocket and steal all of your money. This is the reason why James Carville is explicitly saying that Kamala Harris needs to run away from her own record in the debates. He says that her best strategy to defeat Trump involves a few different components. Component number one, he says, is help Trump hurt himself in the debate. He says, by and large, Ms. Harris is diverging from normal fear-provoking way of going about Mr. Trump. Instead of building him up as a threat to America, she's getting voters chuckling and nodding by saying of the former president and his crew, they're out of their minds. People smile when they think a politician has her opponent's number, and they like she's calling him weird and unserious and painting a broader picture of Mr. Trump as a tired old tapestry. We already have some indication her team is prepping her to do just that. In the September 10th debate, Ms. Harris must enable exactly what his campaign is scared to death of, letting Trump be Trump. She should let him talk over her. Not just let him, but goad him into spouting insane conspiracy theories about the previous election. Right? That, of course, is one of the reasons why she wants the open mic, as we've discussed. But it's number two here that Carville talks about that is indicative of just how bad the Biden-Harris administration has been. Quote, break from President Biden on policy. Now, at this point, you might be asking yourself, but wait, I thought this is the most accomplished, achievement-oriented administration of our lifetime. I was told that by Kamala Harris. I was told that Joe Biden is the most consequential president of our lifetime, a living God, a George Washington-like human being whose valor is matched only by his self-sacrifice. That's what I was told by Kamala Harris. And yet here's James Carville telling me she has to run directly away from Joe Biden's policies, screaming in order to avoid complicity in those policies. Quote, Mr. Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in U.S. history. Blah, 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 blah. But Mr. Biden's not in the race. To be the certified fresh candidate, Ms. Harris must clearly and decisively break from Mr. Biden on a set of policy priorities she believes would define her presidency. It's not about that. She has to not just appear as a fresh face. She has to appear as though she is utterly disconnected from this administration. This administration is unpopular. She needs to not be part of it. It's why she wants to somehow magically say that she was the last person in the room on every major decision. And also, she literally has never met Joe Biden and has nothing to do with him. Here's an idea, says James Carville. Do it one day in a swing state, just a hair after the debate. Hold a rally. Put out a broad list of new way forward policies that detail why she is breaking from the sitting president on the given issues and what change would deliver to the American people. After that rally, do a news conference on it so media organizations stop cranking their clamshells about a lack of access. Don't run from your differences with the president. Embrace them respectfully and honestly. Now, the reality is that she can't really do that because then Joe Biden would immediately slap her. And it might be that everyone will point out how cynical it is and how she's lying. And then he says, you also have to run away from yourself. She is such a weak candidate. She's such a weak candidate. Well, it's very weird to be unhappy with Joe Biden's policies, but somehow happy with Kamala Harris. That doesn't make any sense. You know what else doesn't make any sense? Sticking with Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. You see, they want you to believe that you need unlimited data so they can overcharge you. But here's the fact. Most of you are buying way more data than you will ever need or use. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you can actually choose how much data you want and you can save. Listen to this. For just $35 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot on America's most dependable 5G network. Do you know what you can do with that much data? You can browse the internet for 500 hours. You can stream 3,000 songs. You can watch 30 hours of video. That's if you're not on Wi-Fi. Here's the best part. When you switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk on a qualifying plan, you will get 1 year free of Daily Wire Plus Insider, which is access to the full library of DW Plus movies, series, documentaries, including Lady Ballers, What is a Woman, Mr. Burcham, Run, Hide, Fight, plus uncensored ad-free daily shows, 1 year free of our kids platform Bentkey, and your very own free Leftist Tears Tumblr. The only way you can get the special offer is by going to puretalk.com/Shapiro or call and mention my name. So stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Go to puretalk.com/Shapiro today. Switch to a qualifying plan and get 1 year free of Daily Wire Plus Insider. So remember, there are 3 things Carville is recommending. 1, target Trump. All right, fine. 2, run away from Joe Biden's policies, which is to say, her policies. She is the vice president. And finally, she has to display a clear growth mindset from the 2020 Democratic primaries. At the same time, she must break from Mr. Biden on some policy measures. She has one lingering liability she will not be able to outrun: the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination campaign, in which she and a gaggle of candidates favored more exotic positions within the Democratic Party. As last week's CNN interview with Ms. Harris showed, this will be a consistent plotline deployed at her throughout the campaign. It's vital she give the same answer every time to these attacks. The retort can be simple: I learned from my time governing in the White House. These are my positions. Take it or leave it. Notice the lie he's promoting. So, according to him, she should say simultaneously the following two things: I disagree with everything Joe Biden is doing. Also, I learned so much from Joe Biden that I disagree with everything I said back in 2020. So what in the hell would she agree with at that point? She's an empty suit. We all know she's an empty suit. And the thing that nobody is willing to acknowledge is just how much of an empty suit she is. It is perfectly clear that she's an empty suit. So, hilariously, Peter Doocy was in the White House press room yesterday, and he asked Karine Jean-Pierre about a very bizarre sort of code switch that Kamala Harris did the other day when she traveled from Detroit to Pittsburgh. When she was in Detroit, suddenly she was dropping a Southern accent, right? The G's went away. And then she goes to Pittsburgh and she speaks as though she is a business major at University of Pennsylvania and doing a PowerPoint presentation. So Peter Doocy asked about this. Listen to Karine Jean-Pierre try to run headlong from this question.
Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a Southern accent?
Better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
she was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs.
I thought they cared about joy.
Healthcare. That's what Americans care about.
So
that's what they want to hear.
This is something...
They care about, your colleague just asked me about, what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom. That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just, hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is...
The question, I'm talking about the questions, is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings here?
I'm just, Peter, we're moving on.
We're moving on. Of course they're not going to answer that question because she is pandering. That's what she does. She panders. One of the most amazing things about this administration is that at the top of the administration, you have an almost literal dead person. Joe Biden went to the beach for 2 weeks. He was sitting on the beach when an American citizen in Israel, in the Gaza Strip, being held by Hamas, got shot in the back of the head. He was sitting on a beach. He came back. He blathered into a microphone. And then he went and campaign rallied with Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania. He sounded absolutely incoherent. He sounded as though he was completely addled. And then he went out and he told the press he can't go out in crowds anymore. This is the sitting president of the United States. Here was Joe Biden yesterday.
President, how was it to be back on the campaign trail today?
It was good.
That's good. How do you feel about Pennsylvania?
Except I'm not able to go out in the crowds anymore. They don't, Secret Service doesn't let me.
No, why not?
Well, because it says too dangerous. No one gets to go out.
He's not allowed to go out in the crowds anymore. They didn't get your money. That one, who's not there, is the president. And his backup, who could theoretically invoke the 25th Amendment and become president herself, is also not there because she's a complete empty suit. And everybody knows it. Everyone knows this. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.